everyone, Blugoblin here. Thank you for joining me for my newest Midtown Comics stash episode here. I was going to do this in two parts. I was going to separate these a little bit more, but since I've finally gotten around to reading all these, I'm just going to do all of these in just this one last video. We're going to look at books from Image, Dynamite, and Top Cow. Let's start with the books from Image. We're going to start with the first four issues of Velvet. Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting. These are two names that I really admire in comic books. Ed Brubaker, of course, is very, very well known for his writing in Captain America, and Steve Epting's artwork in here is really good. It really fits the espionage-style storytelling that this series brings, and I want to give a big thanks to my bro Chris, TheMtVernonKid, for sending me this, because I got to be honest, when I first saw this, I was like, what's this going to be about? You know, and then I saw Brubaker and Epting. I said, oh, I knew right away this is going to be espionage, and it was going to be done very well, and I wasn't wrong. This was actually really good. The first issue, we're introduced to the character, Velvet, and we're introduced to her in quite a unique way. We're introduced to her through a flashback she has at the beginning of the book. Well, it's not a flashback at the beginning. We're introduced to somebody she once knew in her past, and he gets gunned down. And she gets called while she's sleeping and says, hey, X-14, the code name that they give him, has just been killed. And she's like, damn. And she said a line saying he was one of my favorites, and it wasn't just the sex. I'm like, wow. I said, this is going to be really good. But yeah, she goes to work. She works for a certain agency, and she's basically being briefed on what's been going on, how he was able to get, how he was tracked. You know, everybody's going around saying, you know, he was such a good agent, he was such a good man. We'd like to know who killed him and everything. And she comes across some information that maybe he was set up, or maybe he was framed, or something like that. And she goes and follows some more of her own leads. I'm not going to give everything away. I'm going to try to review the first four issues of this without giving everything away, because I really think you should check this series out. But she follows some leads, and she comes across a name, and she decides to go check this person out. And when she finds him, she finds something that she didn't expect to find, and then she comes to the realization that maybe there's more than one person being framed around here. And the first issue ends with her, with her back against the wall, and she's probably going to have to end up fighting for her life, and that's what she does in the first issue. Very nice setup. Introduce everybody, get us introduced to the characters, and let us know what's going on, and end the first issue with a kind of cliffhanger. Very nicely done. And that brings us into issue 2. Issue 2 is where things get a little bit ridiculous. First of all, she is wearing a stealth suit that's able to form into a glider, and she jumps out the window after fighting for her life, because she's fighting agents and also getting shot at the same time. So she's able to fight them off and jump out the window and use a stealth suit when she realizes she's not really good at controlling the gliding movements, and she knows she's not going to land very well, and she crashes through a window. And I love that they point out this idiotic comic book logic that states, well, the suit's insulated, so it didn't really hurt me that bad. Whatever. I'm like, you're gliding in the air, crash right through a window. Odds are you're probably going to break something. And she's like, because of the suit, I love how she put it. It feels like I got hit by a car instead of just hit by a truck. Yeah, she's able to get up and just walk it off. I'm like, whatever. So she's come to the realization that she may have also been set up, concerning what happened at the end of the first issue. So she's getting chased down. She's getting chased down very, very well. And she's able to come up with escape plans right off the top of her head. Commandeer a vehicle and commandeer a motorcycle and stuff like that. And so she figures she needs some help. So she goes to an old acquaintance of hers at the end of this issue. and she catches him by surprise, and she's like, "Hey, I just need your help." And she, asks him a favor, and the issue ends with him saying, "You haven't changed one bit, have you?" It's very nicely done. My only nitpick so far in the series is that the artwork, while yes, it's good and dark and shady, and the artwork fits well for an espionage story, I kind of feel like Steve Epting goes a little too far with the darkness and the shading. There are some moments in here where the characters look like they're in a very well-lit area. I mean a very well-lit area, but everything still looks really dark and shady. I mean, the dark and shady stuff works when it's where it makes logical sense. If you're in a well-lit room, lights are everywhere, there's overhead lights, chandeliers and everything like that, yet still people look really dark and shady, it just doesn't look right. That's my only really big nitpick with the series, but this issue ended off very well, and that takes us into issue number 3, where, she finds out some more information about who might be framing her and what got one of her old partners killed and everything like that. And she comes across some names, and I love how she gets the information. She seduces a guy, and she said it was too easy. Once he got laid, he went out, and I just love that the dark and shady stuff in here works in this scene, because after she seduces a guy and sleeps with him, she's able to go and search around in his files and everything and look for the information she needs. And of course, thanks to the wonderful artwork, we get to see that she does it butt naked. That's kind of awesome. But she finds out some information, and it leads to her and the guy that she went to in the second issue. It's like they have to break into a prison. They're looking for a specific someone, and they have to break into a prison to find her. And they find her. And, they find her. She's all beaten up. She's part of her face looks like it's been, been burned or something like that. And she's visibly just traumatized. So what they do is that they find her, they take her, and they clean her up, and they say, "We need to change your identity, we need to get you away from here, blah, 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 blah." Usual espionage spy shit. But she has a request. She says, "I want to go see my son." And she says her husband, is, with him, and she wants to see him and say goodbye. And Velvet's kind of like, "Oh, okay." And Velvet starts to feel like she's getting soft. Otherwise, she would have never granted this request. And I love it. It's one of those classic setups where the light bulb goes off right at the exact moment it needs to. And when she takes her to go see her husband and everything, and that's when it all of a sudden, because Velvet has a photographic memory, and that's when the light bulb goes off, and like, wait a minute, she doesn't have a son. So she goes in there just as she's trying to kill her husband. Her husband's onto this, and he guts her with a knife. So Velvet has to shoot the guy down, and she's like, "Damn it, I saved you. I was gonna protect you." And she says, she says at the end of the issue, her dying words will be the information she wanted. And that takes us into issue 4. Right before the woman dies, she gives Velvet information that could be helpful to her case into finding out who's doing the frame jobs and who got her former co-agent killed. And she's given information about a man who was a former KGB who went rogue in the 50s. And she finds out that he's at the, the Carnival of Fools, which I would believe is called Mardi Gras now. But she finds out that that's where he is. And she said, she goes, "He may be very easy to spot. Guys like him are very easy to spot. You can always spot the celebrities. You can always spot, the rich people or the, people in hiding." But she also finds out that there are 3 assassins there to kill this man that she's there to look for. And he has a very suave and debonair look to him, but he's in his mid-60s now. And he tries to sneak out, and the 3 assassins go follow him, and Velvet has to save his ass because he's got information that she needs. And she saves him. like I said, I'm not trying to give everything away. I'm leaving out a lot of things because I really think you should be reading the story. But I'm giving you the gist of it. But once you read it, I think you'll understand it a little bit more, because I don't want to spoil everything. The ending, the cliffhanger of this issue was really good, because Velvet and this guy that she found at the Carnival of Fools, they talk. And he's giving information about her ex-co-agent, and he gives off a name. And this name sparks an emotional trigger in Velvet that almost like kind of brings her to tears. And it's very, very nicely done. And that's where I'm going to end it. So far, I've read the first 4 issues of Velvet, and I think it's an incredible series. It's not perfect, like I said, but it is really good, and I think it's really worth your time. Give this series a try and give it a read. It is really, really good. That's going to take us into Dynamite. And with Dynamite, we got only one book, and that's Turok, Dinosaur Hunter #2. Greg Pak, Mirko Kolek. I apologize if I butchered the name, but this was really good. Crusaders from what looks like could be England, come in and abduct a lot of members of Turok's tribe, or Andar's tribe, the Native American that Turok is stuck with, who also happens to be his mortal enemy. Andar is the tribesman who has threatened, ever since they were 10, has threatened to constantly threatened to kill Turok. So Turok and Andar are stuck together while their fellow tribe members are taken into custody by these crusaders from England, and they have a big demand. Where is the gold? Where is your gold? Where are your riches? And they take the princess of the tribe, or one of the maidens of the tribe, however you want to, or the maiden of the tribe, however you want to coin it. And the leader of the crusaders' daughter pops into the scene, and this is where I think the book got just a little bit comical. Because she looks at the tribe princess and she goes, "Father, I like her. Can I have her? I want to keep her." And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, are we going Mickey James on this shit? Because that was kind of weird. Not that there's anything wrong with a maiden wanting another maiden. There's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of felt like that was put in there for maybe a cheap chuckle or a cheap snicker, like, she wants another girl, giggity. I kind of felt like that was put there for that, but what do I know? I was just calling it like I see when I first saw it, and then she gets to, play around with her. It's like trying to give her some fancier clothes. It turns out she just wanted another female to talk to. She wanted to have another female companion to be around, because when you look at it, she was the only girl in this crusader, and I guess she just wanted another girl to talk to, so that's probably why she wanted to keep her. But Turok and Andar come to an understanding, and a truce has been called between them. He says, Andar tells Turok, says, "Hey, you saved my life, so for that I owe you mine, and I will fight alongside you as your brother forever." And so Turok and Andar come across a couple of dinos, and they save them because they're they look ill and weak, and Turok helps save them and everything. Some of Turok and Andar's fellow tribesmen have unfortunately been killed, and it's really kind of sad. But the rest of the tribe is rescued, and Turok does cross the line a little bit. He says, "I may not need to kill, but if I have to, I will." He's kind of got that attitude toward him. And as the tribe is being saved, they decide to take something from the Crusaders. And at the end of the issue, the leader makes a big order. And that's all I'm going to say, because the cliffhanger is a holy shit kind of cliffhanger. Very, very nicely done. The writing is good. The artwork, for the most part, is really good for most of it. In some parts, it can look a little sketchy and a little scratchy, but the artwork, for the most part, it does fit with this kind of storytelling. I thought the Thought Pac and Kolak did a really good job with this. A solid issue of Turok, a solid book from Dynamite. I really got no complaints. Now we're going to finish this video out with Top Cow. We're going to finish it off with the last 3 issues of Bushido. We're going to start with Bushido number 3, The Way of the Warrior. I fucking love this series. This was, out of this stack of books, this was by far my favorite stack. This was my favorite story to read. This was really good. Story picks up in issue 3 with the wedding of Orichi and Mitsuko. And probably mispronouncing these names because I'm not really good at this, but Kichiro, the hero of the story, is the one who truly loves Mitsuko, but Mitsuko was promised to Orichi, the brother. And Kichiro is currently imprisoned and sentenced to die for the murder of him and Orichi's father, which is a lie because Kichiro did not kill his own father. He was killed by one of the vampire demons named Raven in this story. And just as Mitsuko and Orichi are about to be wed, the wedding is interrupted by a band of these vampire demons, and the leader is in there leading the charge. But also one of the participants in this attack is Raven, the true killer of the father. And so Orichi makes a bold decision, and that is to free his brother. And he says, "Hey, I need not ask for your tongue, but I need your assistance in the fight." So they fight and everything, and they manage to stave him away as much as they possibly can until dawn comes and they have to retreat. Let me get some light in here. Here we go. Until the dawn comes, and unfortunately, during the fight, Orichi gets bitten by the very same person who killed his father. Although he's not aware yet that she's the one that murdered the father. And, of course, once I saw Orichi get bit, I instantly knew, hey, this dude's fucked. And, speaking of fuck, this is a mature... This series, I should have pointed this out earlier, but this series is meant for more mature readers because there is gratuitous nudity in here, and there is a sex scene in this particular issue. So, yeah, this is not a series meant for kids. But Orichi is trying to hide the fact that he was bitten. He's trying to heal himself and everything, but I guess he knows, as well as us readers know, that he's screwed. He's eventually going to give in to that hunger, and this issue ends on a very big cliffhanger of Orichi almost fully transformed into a vampire demon, saying, Mitsuko, come with me. And so he takes her. But not before slaying a bunch of not before slaying some of his own men. And that's where we come into issue 4. Orichi takes Mitsuko to the lair of the vampires and everything, and they make a deal, saying, I'll help you defeat the Shogun if, I do this and this and this. They basically make a deal, and he says, I want Mitsuko. He says, I will lend you my hand. I will give you my allegiance. You let me keep Mitsuko. And they're like, okay, fine. And Kichiro is trying to make a case, and he has somebody to back him up in here. I don't remember his name, but it's a good close friend. And they make a case to Mitsuko's father, the Shogun. And he says, you know what? He believes him. So in order to aid us in the fight, you have to be a samurai, and you're no samurai, but you are now. Kichiro not only gets pardoned, but he also gets the rank honor of samurai. And they lead an attack against the vampires, and he comes sword to sword with his brother Orichi. And just as you think one of them's about to kill each other, one of them's about to die in this sword fight, Kichiro talks to Orichi and has a reminiscent moment about their father and everything, and it's able to snap Orichi out of it. He's still a vampire, but deep inside he's fighting it and trying to remain his normal self. But that's when he breaks the bad news to Kichiro and says, hey, you didn't come here by accident. You were led here. You were led away from Edo, because while you came with an army to attack us here, the real army is about to attack the Shogun at his own palace. And I'm like, oh, it was a diversion divide and conquer, all about misdirection. They were set up. And that's how this issue ends. And that leads us into issue 5. And that's where I get my only real true complaint about the series. The ending was a little bit predictable. Just a little bit. Because there were some things about the ending that I still didn't see coming. I thought it was very nicely done. But, you know, the Shogun, he decides, the leader of the vampires, he brings Mitsuko to the palace and says, hey, we want you to trade your life for your daughter's. Stuff like that. And some more fighting gets ensued and everything. There's a really big battle between the samurai and these vampires. And there are some casualties in here. But overall, the good guys do end up triumphing when the leader is slain. I will go ahead and spoil that. The leader is slain. I'm not going to spoil who killed him. But at the end of the story, it's when the two brothers come to an understanding. He says, and Orichi tells Kichiro, he says, look, I forgive you, basically saying, I know you didn't kill our father. I forgive you, but I can't stay here. We can no longer be together. I need to leave because I'm no longer a man. But you're not one of them either, brother. But he says, but you may not be a man anymore, but you're not one of them, my brother. What are you? And the book and the series ends with Orichi dressing in a certain garb saying, I'm something else. And I'm thinking to myself, is this the origin of a certain Japanese warrior? I'm not going to give the ending away, but oh man, this was really good. Yes, it was a little bit predictable that the heroes and the samurai would end up winning this fight against the vampires and everything, especially with the leader getting slain. But I liked how it was done, and I liked who did it. Very fitting, very well done. And I really did like the ending. Especially with Orichi saying, I'm not a man, I'm not a demon, I'm something else. And what that something else is was awesome. Very, very well done. I loved this story. This was great stuff. Overall, I give Bushido issues 1 through 5. I give it overall 4 stars. I give Velvet overall so far, the first 4 issues overall, I give Velvet 3.5 stars. And I give Turok Dinosaur Hoarder number 2, I give it 3. 3 stars out of 5. This stuff was really good, but the Bushido stuff was just fucking awesome. I loved it. Well, that's all for this Midtown Comics stash, everybody. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I apologize it took me so long to get it out. Please subscribe to this channel, blugoblinX. Don't forget my main channel, Blugoblin01. Don't forget about Dark Avenger Inc. Plus. I finally got a new video up on there in which I review Cataclysm Ultimate X-Men miniseries. I'm fixing to upload very shortly my review of the 5-part Cataclysm story. And later on down the line for Dark Avenger Inc. Plus, I'm planning on reviewing Fantastic Four number 2. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Please show me some love and support. Show me some... subscribe to my channels. Follow me on Twitter at Blugoblin01. Follow me on Tumblr. You won't regret it. Blugoblin.tumblr.com. And show some support to my bro, TheMtVernonKid. Subscribe to his channels and show him some love and support. Follow him on Twitter at TheMtVernonKid. And also big thanks to Midtown Comics as well for the books. Thanks for watching, everybody. And until next time, I'll see y'all later.